everybody, and welcome back to Cooking with Johnny B. Today we're going to be having a showdown between two of my favorite kitchen appliances, the Ninja Foodi Grill and the Instant Pot pressure cooker. This one is the 8-quart version. Today we're going to be making two competing recipes, both for one of my favorite comfort foods, meatloaf. Both are going to be cooked in a different appliance, and I'm going to be showing a different way to make meatloaf. Both are gluten-free. So now let's go through the ingredients list. First, each recipe is going to use 1 1/3 cups of ground beef. In this particular case, we're using grass-fed. Each one is going to have 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, or Worcestershire sauce, however you want to say it. This is a little spice blend that I've come up with. It is 1 teaspoon of herbed salt and 1 teaspoon of garlic salt. That'll be in both recipes. And then we also have 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. For the first recipe, which we'll be doing in the Instant Pot, it also includes 1 yellow pepper. And the glaze and the sauce that goes inside the meatloaf is 1/4 cup of ketchup and 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce, if you're choosing. In the Instant Pot, we'll also be using 3/4 cups of oats that are kind of barely chopped in a food processor. Along with that goes 1/2 cup of cream, heavy whipping cream. For the Ninja Foodi recipe, we're going to be using 3/4 cups of rough chopped croutons that are gluten-free. These are ones that I made myself. Okay, so it's time to assemble all this stuff. Let's put it together, and we're going to have 2 separate recipes and 2 great results. We're going to start with a recipe for the Instant Pot pressure cooker. Now, the first thing we have to do to get these oats a little bit more moistened is we are going to put this in a little mixing bowl here and mix in 1/2 cup of heavy whipping cream. Once the cream is in with the oats, we just kind of want to mix it around so that it can absorb all of that fat. We want that to make a moist meatloaf. We don't want the meatloaf to be dry. Now let's start incorporating all of the ingredients in with the meat. So let's first take the 1 1/3 pound of ground beef, the yellow peppers that are finely chopped, 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, some of the seasoning mixture that I've made, the salt and pepper, and the barbecue and ketchup sauce. Let's just start putting this in here. The final step is now to incorporate the oats with the cream. Okay, now I'm just going to mix this all together till everything is fully incorporated. Probably going to get in here and use my hands in a minute. Yeah, it always works easier with your hands. You got to make sure everything is thoroughly incorporated. You don't want to have any little clumps of oats that are not really mixed in with the ground beef. So take your time and just really incorporate everything together. The one crucial ingredient that I almost forgot is an egg. We need to add one to each of these recipes to make sure that all the ingredients are held together. Okay, it's time to put everything in the pan. Now we're going to use a nice little round pan that I got from Amazon. I don't know, I think I got this about 2 years ago. But this is about 3-inch deep pan. Now it's not going to take all that much height for this meatloaf. But you want it to be relatively thin, so it'll be cooked really all the way through. But I like to make it in such a way that it slides out really super easy. because there will be a time where we're going to put this under the broiler for just a few minutes to get some really nice crust on the top. So I like to just butter this pan pretty well all the way around. And then I made a little piece of parchment paper. I just basically laid this on top, traced around it, cut it out, and this will go on the bottom to make the meat release really super easy. So I placed that in the bottom, and now I just put all the meat right into that pan. Now, what I'm going to try to do is to make a little bit of and I'll show you here just before I put it in the pot. I'm going to make a little round loaf. So it's going to be about an inch away from the sides. Now, for those of you that have a 6-quart Instant Pot, this works just exactly the same, except for more than likely the meat is going to go all the way out to the edges. And you'll see with this particular recipe, we have about an inch all the way around. So now that the loaf is nicely shaped, it's time for us to put it inside the Instant Pot. But before we do, first thing we have to do is we have to add a trivet on the bottom. We don't want this to sit right on the bottom. Another important thing to do when you're using the Instant Pot 8-quart is to use the right amount of water. So in this case, we're going to be using 1.5 cups of water. If you have the 6-quart version, you can do 1 cup. You don't need any more than that. But we also need to take and place an aluminum foil lid over the top. So just grab some aluminum foil, put it over the top, and then it's important to put in a few slits. So we're just going to take a knife and make 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, slits so that the steam can evaporate, but yet not so many holes to where the water drips down inside of the meat. So now let's put it inside. Fits right in like this. And we're ready to turn it on. This is what it looks like before we put on the lid and turn on the right amount of time for the pressure cooking. So we want to set this for 25 minutes. So in order to do that, you press pressure cook and then you go down to 25 minutes. Make sure that it's on high pressure, and then it'll turn itself on. Let's put together the second meatloaf. It's really pretty much the same, but with a few little different ingredients. This time we have the homemade gluten-free croutons. They go right in there. The Worcestershire sauce, however you say that. The 1.25 pounds of grass-fed ground beef. The mixture of half barbecue sauce and half ketchup. My little spice blend, which is herb salt and garlic salt. Salt and pepper. And now we just mix it all together. Now I'm going to use my hands again because it's a whole lot easier. Now I've made both of these recipes before, and no matter which one you choose, you can't go wrong. But especially when you have that mix of ketchup and barbecue sauce that infuses itself in the meatloaf. And then when we get to the glaze on top, it'll be that same mixture of ketchup and barbecue sauce. Now, once again, we're going to be adding an egg to the recipe just to make sure that everything holds together. Okay, now that my hands are all clean, we're going to place this in the Ninja Foodi Grill basket that's used for air frying. But what you want to do is you want to make an aluminum foil sling. So you just basically line the bottom, fold it over on each side so that when we're done, it's easy to pop out. And we take the meat and we make a small size loaf right in the middle. Now, I don't like it to be more than about 1.5 inches tall, so I'll show you what it looks like here in just a second. Try to keep it a little bit away from the edges, and that's what it looks like. So now it's time to set the controls on the Ninja Foodi Grill. We've already pressed the start or the power button. Now we want to use the bake function, which is the far bottom right. You press that, and we're going to set the temperature for 350 degrees, and the time is going to be 35 minutes. Now, we're going to let it start to preheat. Once it's done preheating, then we will place the basket inside and it will cook for 35 minutes. You can see it now says add food, so it's preheated. So let's open the lid, and we're going to place the meatloaf right in there, close the lid, and as you can see, it shows 35 minutes with a countdown, and when that's ready, it'll be time to glaze. But every situation is a little bit different, so when it gets to be about 30 minutes, I'm going to start checking it to make sure that the top doesn't burn, because this is a convection oven with the heat coming from the top down. So you want to check it periodically to make sure the top doesn't scorch. So in order to do that, if it does start getting that way and the meatloaf isn't finished, then you need to put a little piece of aluminum foil on the top. As you can see, we're about finished with the cooking time. And as soon as it goes to 0, we are going to allow the Instant Pot to do a natural release for about 10 minutes. As soon as it is finished cooking, you'll hear a couple beeps, and then it starts the countdown. So it'll take about 10 minutes from right about now. All right, so we're about 5 minutes before the cook time, so it's been about 30 minutes. So let's put the glaze on the top. This is the perfect time for that. Let's just dump most of this right on there. I like a lot of glaze. So I've used probably about another half a cup or so combined, so that'd be a 1/4 cup each of both barbecue sauce and ketchup. And I make sure I get it all the way around the edges. And then we're going to switch methods. So we're going to cancel this. Then we start again, and we're going to do air fry at 390 for 7 minutes. Start. And we need to watch this periodically just to make sure that the glaze doesn't burn. Okay, now the meatloaf is done. Let's take a look. Ooh, that looks delicious. So I'm going to set this up a little differently, but you can take a peek, see how delicious that looks already. Okay, let's take this out. We'll put it right here on the trivets, and we'll get the inside piece. We'll set it right here in front. And now, let's just peel up these little pieces of foil and remove it from with the sling. Put it right here on top of our beautiful platter. Boy, that looks absolutely delicious. So we're going to let it rest for a few minutes, and it's just about time for us to check the Instant Pot. We have 10 minutes now showing. Turn the valve from sealing to venting and remove the rest of the steam. And once the little pin drops, it'll be time for us to open up and see what's inside. The pin is dropped, so let's open it up, see what it looks like. Remember to always open it away from you to let the steam escape away. The way I remove this is by cutting the foil, peeling it back. Boy, that smells good. then reaching in with this little hot glove and pulling it straight out. The next step is to remove it from the little pot, and we're going to put it on this greased pan right here. And we're going to take it and we're going to put it in the broiler for about 15 minutes after we put all of the glaze on top. So let's put the glaze on it now. Now the meat is completely cooked and it's very tender, and sometimes it looks like it's about to fall apart, and that's okay, because once we get this in the broiler to finish the crusting part, it'll be nice and firmed up. Okay, there we go. Let's put it in the broiler for a few minutes, and we'll check periodically to make sure that it doesn't burn. I've just taken the second meatloaf out of the oven. It was in there for about 10 minutes and looks really good. So let's plate them up and it's time to taste. The meatloaf on the left is from the Ninja Foodi Grill, and the meatloaf on the right is from the Instant Pot. So there are some differences. The one on the left is definitely much firmer, and the one on the right is definitely more moist and juicy. So let's take a taste test and see which one is the best. Okay, food is finished, and as I like to say, it's time to taste. This one is from the Ninja Foodi Grill, and this one is from the Instant Pot. So let's start with the Instant Pot. Oh my God, that is good meatloaf. You can taste a little bit of that yellow pepper, and the seasoning and spice is really good and super moist. Super, super moist. Love that. Now let's try the one from the Ninja Foodi Grill. I don't know how we're going to tell which one's the winner and which one isn't. They're both super delicious. I got a really big bite on that one, but that was good. A few things to note. The preparation and cleanup time on the Ninja Foodi Grill is a lot faster than for the Instant Pot. The Instant Pot has that second step, which is to put it in the oven and on the broiler for a while to make sure that it's nice and brown. Because when you cook this kind of meat in the pressure cooker, although it's completely cooked, it needs to have a little browning, especially when it's time to have the presentation of this to your guests. So overall, I think it's kind of a toss-up. I really like the flavor of the one that has the yellow pepper in it, but I love peppers. And I like the meatiness, and the overall presentation of this one is really terrific as well. So, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps a lot. Share it with somebody and give a good thumbs up like it. And as we say every time,